We now know the 2026 CrossFit Games season. And once again, it is a roller coaster. Quarterfinals is back. Hopefully it's 90th percentile again so that there's no potential shame in missing it. We'll get to that. It's inclusive now. The inclusive open for everyone. Semifinals is back to being in person, sort of. I think. I don't really know. But first, before all of that, Will Morad says...
Rumor about some of the exclusivity clauses in some of the pro card contracts. Is
no truth to any of the exclusivity stuff. I think that was maybe... there's been a little bit of smear campaigns going on, if you ask me. And that's their job, unfortunately, to create false narratives. And they're doing a great job of that. And maybe not listen to them all the time when they're lies. But
interesting, because I think one of these salacious rumors was that the WFP would overlap with the CrossFit Game season. And it turns out...
The first one's in March, right? Is that accurate? Is that Mallorca?
Yes.
Okay, so the first one's Mallorca. And then where's after that?
I mean, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. Will Morad, you are the least transparent thing to ever exist in the CrossFit space. The only one who gives us straight talk from the WFP is Jason Ainsley. How is it even possible to be a downgrade on transparency to the guy who is literally an ex-Navy SEAL and doesn't talk about it at all, whose motto is unknown and unknowable? It's not possible, but he's done it. And that's why we don't trust you, Will, you slithering snake, you. I don't take accusing somebody of untrustworthiness lightly, but this is the guy who says they're not competing with CrossFit over and over and over again. That has been disproven. This is the guy who said that CrossFit didn't want to talk to him or something like that. And yet Dave Castro says they basically declined the meeting. This is the guy who changed his rule book because the champion of his tour event 1 ingested a banned substance. This was a banned substance that wasn't really a big deal. Nonetheless, he retroactively changed the rule book, and Jenny, Dense Updates, maybe Barbell Spin 2, I can't remember, provided receipts showing the date that the Google documents had been changed. The dates for when they started building the WFP have been skewed in a response to the argument that this was born out of the tragedy of the CrossFit Games and was opportunistic. By the way, I don't think that that's a big deal. If something happens with another organization and there's now an opportunity to be a competitor, you can do that. It's just another example. So when you talk about exclusivity, I don't believe you. And if there's not exclusivity, it's just because it wouldn't catch on. I am 99.9999% sure that you discussed exclusivity. You probably wanted it. And as it got out there, you heard feedback on it. And as Tour Stop 2 maybe didn't do as good as expected. I mean, even Justin Kotler, who is for the athletes, like I said, you looked out for his athlete. His athlete was a part of your nonprofit organization, Alex Kazan. If anybody's going to give you props, it's going to be him. He is notoriously in the middle, not going to be biased.
As optimistic about it as you were at the start.
No. I'm not.
So yeah, it's really convenient that you talk about exclusivity in the context of there's not exclusivity and there's contracts, or there's not going to be exclusivity in their contracts. But that doesn't mean that that wasn't the plan. That doesn't mean when the rumors came out that those discussions weren't happening. Stuff has been coming out for a long time, from the initial Victor Hoffer talking about it all the way until now. So where there's smoke, there's fire, and I don't believe you. And what happened to the charitable organization for the children?
It's called Good Life. We build gyms and create like training, programming, curriculum, all that stuff all around the world for underserved communities. So
what you just said.
Never trust a man who wears hats all the time. What about wigs? Will says it's our job to create a false narrative. We've done a good job at our job. What's your job? To be the first head of sport in CrossFit to circumnavigate the world and to visit every exotic tropical location to bring them the hopeful gift of functional fitness?
All around the world. I'm in Costa Rica.
You're creating something amazing for just the global fitness community.
What are you doing on my boat? That's my boat.
You and Jackson? I'm trying to be nicer. I don't want to say anything about Jackson. My wife wants to name the baby Jackson. Oh, you mean the retarded guy who lets Will use his mother-in-law's credit card? He's He's harmless. You know what? To make amends, I'm going to name my baby Jackson. He's harmless. Do me a favor and check out Thorgsy.com, code KIR for 20% off. I use it every day for sleep and recovery. I get great feedback on it, great Whoop scores. I do have a bunch of samples, so hit me up on Instagram if you are looking to try it out. On the CrossFit Games season, I want to make a few points. The first point is that the season constantly changing is not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. It's one of the big critiques of Dave Castro and of CrossFit. They're always changing everything. Well, look, the WFP is going to have to change everything next year, and probably for a few years after that if they're still around. If you were one of the people in media at one of the outlets who critiqued this CrossFit game season, you cannot then come back and also critique them always changing things. If you said that this CrossFit game season was okay, it's fine, let's stick with it and see what happens, then you can critique them always changing things. If you said this season sucks, you should probably give them props for changing things. We're going to be fair here because I don't like everything and I don't know everything yet about what's going on here. There were issues last year and we would be worse if we didn't have change this year. There's a lot going on with the tragedy that happened at the CrossFit Games. Things seem to get pushed back, discussions of how things were going to get moved forward. Last year was just sort of hastily put together because of the circumstances. Number 2, quarterfinals is back. I like it. The Community Cup was dumb. I like quarterfinals as the next level. It gives people an opportunity other than freaking semifinals, which is like the 99th or 98th percentile, whatever it is, gives people another opportunity to compete. I like it better at a more difficult percentile. It has historically been 90th percentile. The jump to 75 is gigantic. And if you know how the leaderboard works, if you were to get 71st or 72nd percentile for all 3 workouts, you would probably make quarterfinals. Your overall percentage would be 75, typically. And honestly, 75th percentile, it's just your slightly above average CrossFitter. It's me. Hello. And 90th did seem a little bit out of reach. I still think 90th is attainable for the person who's serious enough. How about like an even 80th percentile? Even just making it a little bit more difficult. Feel like there's nothing to strive for me, except to strive for avoiding the shame of missing it, which is very possible if I get the wrong workout. Give me a squat snatch, an overhead squat, and anything past like 18 minutes, I'm cooked for that workout at least. One concern that I have is the opportunity for penalties, like the big box step fiasco that we had, and injuries in quarterfinals that can ruin the entire game's athlete season. It was really simple when it was just open semifinals games. Now, I know that some athletes had to compete in multi-qualifying events or semifinal events, so it did get complex in that regard. If you were like a top 5 athlete, it was just open, online semis, games. I hope that there's some sort of stipulation in here. I think it would be great if like the top 50 people at the open are automatically in for semis and then the rest are vying for spots. If it is still qualifying events serving as semifinals and not back to the old format, which it looks like it is. I mean, Dave has talked about NorCal, I think, still being a qualifying event this year when asked. He's never said anything to make me think that there's not qualifying events once again, like TFX, NorCal, Syndicate, Mayhem. Number 3, online semis being last is great. I'd like to know more details. Hopefully they will come out in the next week or so. I'm sure we will get something on Castro's Week in Review. I hope it's more like a last chance qualifier. These semifinal events, not all of them did so great. They weren't exactly packed because the most known athletes weren't there. They'd already qualified. If online semis still qualifies the same amount of spots, there might be athletes who still risk waiting for online semis. If online semis were only qualifying like 3 to 5 men and 3 to 5 women, then I think you'd get pretty much everybody doing in-person events. Looks good so far. And lastly, the games looks like it is early once again. July 31st would be Friday. July 30th would be Thursday. Likely that they will keep it like that as it was this year. And I'm personally a huge fan because my birthday is July 26th, and pretty much from here on out, I'm going to be having a midlife crisis at my birthday. So there's nothing like being in complete and total despair and darkness one day while you fake smile and your family sings you songs while they bring out the birthday cake. And then at the CrossFit Games the next. Cheers me right up. July 26th, my birthday, CrossFit Games. All signs point to California, where James Sprague will win his second CrossFit Games title and reclaim the fittest man on earth. I will see you there.